Say that life's about balance, baby, and the balance is in my account now. Okay, she got a perkin' and perk, I got a twerking and turk. She probably let both of us hit, the way that she smirking at dirt. She getting cake on the picture she take, I say, girl, if it worked, then it worked.
The Lifestyle Balance Podcast.
Welcome everyone, back at it again, another episode. Super happy to be back today with a special guest, and it's another one in the fitness industry, which we haven't had many on, so this is going to be a really cool one.
Appreciate it, thank you.
So we'll get started about who you are and what you do, and we'll get into it, man.
All right, so my name is Jamal. Usually I go by Stimulants. It's kind of the alter ego I kind of went by a few years ago, actually, kind of a niche for the fitness industry. And I do a lot of, I've shifted my focus a lot more on nutrition and more online and personal training, specifically for contest prep.
Wow.
Or people that really just that have a goal. They have a something set. They have a goal set: wedding, vacation, birthday, competition. They're stepping on stage, whether it's the first time or the 10th time. I've kind of focused more on that, more than just the regular, personal training, fitness, the regular one-on-one kind of thing. Yeah. I feel like that's a little bit played out, and there's so many of them, so you kind of have to separate yourself.
Make your niche.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Cool. And so how long you been doing it for now?
I used to compete. I got into the industry, I would like to say, 8 years ago.
Okay,
so,
cool.
I ended up getting a coach, and that kind of guided me. I competed for a few years. I did well in that. So I just had to be in that industry because of what I knew, right? And every client I have, they've had previous coaches, and they see it's a little bit. They see the difference. They see it's different.
Wow.
They see the concept and the style is different, and sometimes it's a little bit tricky because they need to trust. Like, well, my old coach did this, and right. But then the end result is always 10 times better, right? And that's because, like I said, we can go on the internet, we can search in forums how to get ready for a contest, how to lose 20 pounds. You know what I mean? And you're gonna find 100 forums with 100 different guys having discussions, and you don't even know what that guy looks like. Yeah. It could be a fat guy, you know what I mean? Legit. Be a fat guy sitting there
eating popcorn,
saying, well, you got to take this, and 8 weeks out, we got to cut out the cart. But how do we know, you know what I mean?
That's factual.
Exactly. Well, and how do we know, like, a lot of times, like, you wouldn't buy personal training from a guy who was overweight or not in shape, right? So why would someone trust somebody who they can't even see who they are, right? And oftentimes it's tricky because we get torn. We read something and one says one thing and one says the other, and that's how I used to be. Before I had a coach,
for sure,
I had to go on the internet and then I didn't know. I was like, do I follow this plan? Do I follow that plan? So when you have a coach and he basically sets everything for you, it takes your mind off it. Sure. You literally have to do nothing but listen to what I would have to say, right? And if you follow that protocol from start to finish, you get the end result, right? And you can trust and sit back and say, okay, well, I'm in the hands of my coach, right? And so that's how I had that information, and I knew I could kind of monetize off of it. But it all comes back full circle. Like, when I have athletes come and take first place medals, it looks good on me, right?
For sure.
Because I
put them through that process.
Exactly.
And
they
the
can
results.
see, right? And especially, when it comes with a group of people seeing their friend take a first place, and then all of a sudden, I'm getting asked for that, because if he did well, then obviously what I know is it's got to be working. It's going to work.
Yeah.
And it's different. Like I said, because I learned from those guys, that information isn't available anymore. You know what I mean? That's why some of the biggest and highest paid coaches are older guys, right? They've been more experienced, right? They may not look the part anymore, right? I mean, but I think about it, Arnold Schwarzenegger, what is he, like 68?
Yeah.
Obviously not in good shape anymore, but what's in here, what's in there
doesn't change,
right?
Yeah.
So being coached by someone like that is priceless. And what I learned was from guys like Paul Dillette, which is he's a Canadian bodybuilder, one of the biggest bodybuilders ever to exist. He was a monster. And I learned what I learned from him. So I take that information and I'm able to apply it to my client.
Wow.
And it's information you can't get. I may not be the veteran, 50-year-old, 60-year-old guy, but I learned from that guy, right? And so with that information, I can now apply it, and it's always different, right? I got guys that, people suffer during contest prep. They're getting ready. They want to lose 20 pounds fast. And, they go to coaches and they get crashed. They get crash dieting. I'm sure you've heard that before. Like the crash dieting, cut the calories, cut the carbs. It's not, it's not how you're supposed to do it. There's a process, right? And people suffer when they get coaches that don't really care either, right? It's more like the image, right? We just got to get him in shape. It doesn't matter how you do it. But when you suffer through the process, like nobody wants to do that again. I had a client who had a coach. He was eating 1,100 calories, like for 4 weeks prior to his show.
Wow.
And then it was like, and I would see him, and I wasn't coaching him at the time. He was a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And I'd obviously pick his brain and see what he was doing. And when I hear that, I'm like, 1,100 calories now?
Jesus.
Now? You got 4 more weeks to go with that. And he's like, I'm dying. I can't go to work.
Holy
right?
shit.
And that's because everything before that was done wrong.
Yeah.
They obviously cut his calories too early. They obviously,
wrong strategy.
Right? And then when I got a hold of him, he was still eating 3,000 calories 2 weeks before his show.
Wow.
And it's because we did it correctly. Our start to finish was done correctly, and he was able to look better, not suffer in the process. Because a lot of guys, they think it's contest prep. You got to step on stage. He has to suffer. Like no, you don't. If you do it, correctly, you don't. Obviously, there is some suffering. There's a lot of commitment.
It's a lot of pain.
It's a lot of suffering and pain. There's a lot of commitment involved. When you do, being just a balanced fitness guy is easy. We go to the gym. We try and eat healthy when we can.
Yeah.
And we just kind of.
Goes in that direction.
And whatever. But when you decide to commit to something like that, it's a lot. Your life revolves around it. Your dieting, your food, the timing of the food revolves around it. Your work, everything has to be revolved around that. And so it becomes, something where you're fully committed to it. So obviously, it takes over your life. But you want to be still healthy in the process. You want to be able to go to work. What's the point? Sorry, man, I can't get out of bed. I'm only ate 1,100 calories yesterday. Wow. My legs don't work. Like you can't. Jesus. You know what I mean? So so that's kind of how I and that's with that type of information, that knowledge that you get throughout the process allows you to be more free. Yeah. Right, and people think it's different, but it's actually what they used to do. We've just changed it over time because people are more interested now in getting in shape quickly, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? Like realistically, if a girl had to fit in a wedding dress in 10 days, crash diet. There's nothing really else you can do. But if we say my wedding's in 4 months, we don't have to do that. No. We have 4 months to slowly. Wow. Right, you wanna grow into the wedding. You wanna grow into the show. You don't want to be ready 3 weeks prior to your wedding. No. Why would you want to do that? Yeah. Then you have to maintain that for 3 weeks. And you know what I mean? You want to kind of just ease your way into it, right? And so that's kind of like what I try and do, at least. Right. So I shifted my focus more. That's cool. On personal training to that style of and I work with some high end clients, guys that really just get ready for their birthdays. I got some really high end clients that just. It's like, man, I want to be shredded for my birthday. I'm like, no problem. When's your birthday? July 9th? I got you. Right? And we start 8 weeks and we kind of work our way in. And nobody suffers, man. Will you suffer for your birthday? No. I imagine showing up your birthday party collapsing because you ate 500 calories because you want to look, you know what I mean? It's one thing looking good, but it's another thing to feel good at the same time, right? And that's, what do we do it for, right? We get into fitness to look good, but in the process, we also have to feel good. Yes. If we don't feel good, then what's the point of doing it? You know what I mean? So 100%. It's kind of what I preach. Wow. Yeah, so it's...
Love that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Absolutely.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
So kind of to go what you said a little earlier about the planning of it all, how much do you think from your perspective there's like not a math, but like an actual statistical strategy behind it? Like you're saying, so many calories.
There is, every body is different. Yeah. Right. And so, you have to learn your client. You have to learn your own body. There's a lot of learning that comes involved with a coach. So it's kind of like it's a process. We have to learn what we do and what we don't, right? Like where do we know, like we I'm sure you've heard of like a calorie deficit and calorie surplus, but how do we know what our calorie surplus is and how do we know what our calorie deficit is?
Where's that line?
Where's the line? Yeah. Right? So the only way to learn that is to kind of set a boundary. So I always set my clients pretty high. It's free information that people pay for, but I always set the bar high to see the response of the body, because that's how we learn, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes, like, it also depends on how much you work. Like, listen, if you sit at a desk all day, you're gonna have to work a little bit harder in the gym and doing cardio than a guy who works construction 8 hours a day, right? So you see, like, he's burning 3,000 calories working, while the guy sitting at the desk is only burning 100 calories. So that guy has to work a lot harder. But then also what comes is your metabolism, your thyroid. Do you have a naturally faster metabolism? If you do, then you are ahead of the game, where the guy who has a slower metabolism has to work a little bit harder. But the guy with the slower metabolism can build muscle faster. So do you see, like, everybody is different, so it's a coach's main objective is to learn that person at first, and then you kind of just set kind of very boundaries that can be stretched, right? So we want to do that, and then we want to check and see what the response is. Is he gaining weight? Is he losing weight? And then we kind of go from there. And then when it comes to specifics, like, you know, there's a lot of manipulation that comes involved with getting into a show, you know. A lot of water manipulation. We have to cut water sometimes, depending on the guys. Like, I had a client cut water for almost 3 days.
Holy shit.
2.5 days, he didn't have a sip of water, right? And it's because he was so big that we needed to dry him out, right? But then there are other people who are naturally dry, and we don't need to do that, right? So but there's a lot of manipulation that goes along with that. And so you need someone that's on point, that can look at you visually and say, okay, you're holding a bit of water, we need to do this. You're a little flat, you need to eat this, right? And that's what people pay for, right? They pay for that kind of the ease of mind, the peace of mind, that they can just lay back and say, I'm just gonna send a picture to my coach, and
he'll know what to do.
And he'll know what to do. And you know what I mean? And so that's, people have that trust in you. You're responsible, right? And them looking good is a good image on you, and them looking bad is a bad image on you. For sure. So that's why you can't send someone on stage not being 100%, and as well as you can't send a woman or a guy to his wedding and he doesn't fit into his suit. You know what I mean? So that's so there is a lot of math involved, and everybody is different. Everybody's body is different, and for sure, you know, it all takes a lot of learning, and you learn a lot about it too, because as you get people don't need coaches for their whole lives. They need coaches for maybe those preps, a period of time, and then they learn it themselves, and they can say, wow, okay, so I build off of X amount, I cut off of X amount. I look good when I do this, and you know what I mean. So in the process of me learning them, they're learning themselves. Right, and that kind of allows them to, be successful in that. And a lot of people commit to it, man. It's crazy. I personally can't do it anymore. Really, my competing days are over. I enjoy, enjoyed
that period of time.
I enjoyed it. You know, I got myself into that industry. It's how I got into this industry so me going to these shows and competing. I met a lot of coaches. I met a lot of athletes. I met a lot of people who, kind of guided me into breaking myself into the industry. But it's a lot of work, man. And now I'm at the point where I kind of live vicariously through them, right? I still go to the shows with my athletes. I still, you know what I mean? I walk them through it, but
you're helping them go through it.
But I can't. I personally, I can't do it anymore. Like, my body is toast. Like, I enjoy my Wendy's here and there. I enjoy having a nice steak. Like, I remember the days where everything was measured and calculated, and I didn't even want to sniff an avocado. I feel like I gained weight doing it. You know, it gets to the point. Sometimes it gets tricky. Like, you don't even want to touch anything. You know, like you're looking at the back of every box to see what the nutrition facts are, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's just everybody has their time with being that strict with it, and the ones that are really successful with it, obviously they stick to it, but the bodies are intricate, they need breaks, and again, it takes a lot of commitment, full-time commitment, right? Like, you can't have a girlfriend and say, you know what I mean? Like,
you're gonna do that every day,
or she's gonna say, let's go out for dinner, and I can't, babe, I gotta bring my meals with me, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can eat, but I'm gonna bring my chicken, 8 ounces of chicken and quarter cup of rice with me, like, it doesn't, so you would either need a partner that is probably in the same industry or that really understands it, right? But a lot of people just, it's a very selfish sport. That's what I like to say. It's very selfish. It's very expensive. Like, I always told people that you could get a membership at the best golf course in your city, buy the best set of golf clubs and whatever else, and it still wouldn't be as expensive as like bodybuilding or being a competitor in the fitness. That's how expensive. You got to think about it, like the amount of food we eat, the amount of the amount of supplements we have to take, the amount of money it takes to compete. It costs $1,000 just to step on stage. You gotta pay for the tanning, you gotta pay for the membership, you gotta pay for the registration, you gotta stay at the hotel if it's not in the area. Then after that, you have to pay for your class, right? So that alone, and then imagine the 12 weeks prior to that, everything you have to take, all the supplements you have to take, all the food you got to eat. It's really expensive, and it's selfish, right? So it's tricky because we have to be, we have to commit fully. Right? People don't understand it, and so it becomes. You're kind of on your own. You could have people around you, but nobody understands what you're going through. Exactly. It's like just you.
It's all on you.
It's all on you, right? So it's very selfish. You need people around you that kind of can support it.
Wow.
And most of my guys I work with, their families are supportive, right?
Yeah. They understand what they're trying to do.
Or they're in the fitness industry to some extent, so they understand, or they don't really care to go out and party. Like I could do it realistically, but with work and everything, like I'm all around. It's hard to do it for yourself when you're doing it for so many other people. You know what I mean? So
for sure.
But yeah, that's kind of what I do.
It's cool to hear that. It's just such a different perspective.
It is for sure. Like on the back end spectrum of it, like you can talk to a guy in the fitness industry who does, was an Instagram influencer kind of. You know what I mean? And those guys aren't as they're not as committed like that. They make a couple Instagram videos. They have an audience, which is nothing wrong with that. I think it's great, right? They teach people some exercise and whatever, but they're not doing anything near what anybody else. And you can see it. You can see in their physiques. I can show you photos of my athletes, and I can show you photos of some fitness guys in the Instagram industry, and you can be like, whoa, night and day difference, right? And that's because the look is completely different based on how hard you go, right? And so that's really just depends on what a person wants to look like, what a person wants to do.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that's
it's cool to see that.
Yeah, it's been it's good. I enjoy it. You know what I mean? I enjoy that journey with them, right?
You get to see them get to another
watch
level.
them progressively change, right? And that's special because people. There are, how many times I get guys like, are you sure? Like, I get guys calling me like, oh, I binged last night. I fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, I can't, like, what do I do? You know what I mean? And so you kind of have to be that voice of guidance with all right, man, get back on track. You know, and always at the end result, there are people that always tell me like, I would have never thought I would look like this. This is the best I ever looked at I've heard that so many times.
Wow.
And that it's kind of like the reward, right?
Yeah.
It's the reward. Obviously, you get paid in the process, and that is what it is. But that end result of having someone kind of look the best they've ever looked,
for sure,
is an accomplishment in itself, right? Yeah. So that's why I got more into that, right? The regular fitness industry. I'm not a big TikTok guy. I don't really record my workouts like that. You know what I mean? So I don't really promote it in that way. I kind of just and you also have to be you have to have the time, right? Like there are coaches that have 30-40 athletes.
Wow.
And how can you put the same amount of time and effort into the same guys? And I think that's what happens. Is they see this big time coach and he's got a big name and most of his athletes look good. So you're like, I want to hire this guy as a coach, right? And then you hire him. He gives you a plan and he doesn't check up on you as often as you'd like. You have questions and he doesn't, because he's dealing with 30-40 people. So I try when it is competition season, I try to limit the amount of people I'm training so it's more hands-on. Like a person can call me and say, hey man, I have some questions. I answer it. As opposed to, waiting 2 days to reply back. The guy already messed up. You know what I mean? The guy was asking, should I put salad dressing on my salad or not? You know what I mean? And then he doesn't get an answer, so he does it. And then 2 days later, you say, no, bro, don't do that. Bro, I already did it. What are you talking about?
It's too late.
It's too late now. What do I do now? Did I mess up? Like, what do I do? Right? So, like, that's why you kind of have to be on top of it. So, like, my phone's always ringing. You can ask anybody that's around me, like, I'm sick of hearing it. People tell me all the time, I'm sick of hearing that. Take that off speaker. Like, because it's like just always people calling me, asking me questions, and like you have to be able to answer it, right? But when you're juggling 40 to 50 guys, you know, look at your phone and be like, oh, this guy again, like, you know what I mean? But you can't, right? Because they're relying on you. That's the whole point. You're like
their
a dad.
mentor, literally.
Yeah, you're a mentor. And that's kind of what it kind of falls into, is I see a coach as more like a mentor.
For sure.
Right? It's someone you're following a path that the person's telling you advice, giving you advice. You're following it.
Checking up on them all the time.
Checking up on them, exactly.
It's more than just in the gym. Man.
Exactly. It is. It's a lot of it. It's even a lifestyle thing. Like, there's people that like to party, and, you know, it's all fine and dandy, you know, but there's a time where you got to cut that off, right? Like, I have guys partying, and then I'm like, listen, you got one more weekend, and you're done.
Yeah.
You gotta cut that out. And I have guys going and partying, but they're not drinking, you know, and they think it's okay. They think, well, I didn't drink, but you're up till 4 a.m.
Yeah.
You can't. That has an effect on the body too, right? So, but people don't get that. That's why you need to be the voice of guidance. That's what a mentor was. That's how I got into this, because I took my coach was more like a mentor to me, right? So when I met him, it was I got a mentorship in general for free. It was crazy. Like, I got a coach and a mentor at the same time. I got a guy twice my age, twice my age, and he gave me a business aspect too, right? He gave me I learned a lot about business. I learned a lot about...
You learned your vision through
through this guy, right? And so me being able to learn all of that and to learn how to conduct business was from that. And I kind of do the same. Like, I like to take my clients as friends. You know what I mean? So I don't keep it on a business strictly professional. You know what I mean? Because it's uncomfortable. We got to think about, like, this.
It's awkward,
too. It's awkward. Like, you're sending shirtless pictures to your coach, and you guys don't even know each other. It's like, bro. You know what I mean? Like, he would feel weird doing that. I'm used to it. I get it all the time. I show you 100 messages of guys sending me shirtless pictures of their legs. How do my legs look? You know what I mean? For me, it's normal. If a guy doesn't feel comfortable with you, he's gonna feel weird taking those pictures, right? Or even would feel kind of uncomfortable checking up on you. You know what I mean? Like, they're like
always asking,
like, oh, I feel bad, bro. But, like, no, you're paying for this. This is what you're paying for, right? You're paying for for that kind of full contact. You're paying for someone to be there for you all the time. So, but when you're on a friendship level as well, they do feel more comfortable, right? So 100%. A lot of all of my clients end up turning into friends. You know, I'll go to Cabana, and I'll run into guys that I'm working with, and they will come and party with me. You know what I mean? They're like, they're not like, oh, it's my coach, and I'm gonna make sure to stay away from him unless
like
it's
a
business.
Teacher, like
I don't want to be. I want to be like, I want to be that friend. I want to be that mentor, because it is also about everything else. It's about the lifestyle, you know, and it's about, you know, learning too, because a lot of these guys are in the fitness industry, they're competing, but they also want to be personal trainers, and they don't know how to monetize, and they think, I'm training this guy for $40 a session, and they think it's great. I got 4 guys, they're all paying me $40 a session. This is great. I'm making money, but it's like, bro, you see what you look like? Like, you can't be charging $40, but they don't know, right? They don't know. Like, people will pay what you set the boundary to be. You know, if I tell someone my coaching is $10,000, and I'm not saying it is, I'm saying if I say it's $10,000, then that's my price, right? And the end result, and I have proof, I can show you that you're going to get your end result, but the price is 10 grand. If you don't want to pay it, no problem, go somewhere else. You can pay half the price, and you may not get the result.
For sure.
So as a person, so all these guys that are competing and they look great, you're getting paid $40 for an hour of your time. I know it seems like a lot, but there are guys at Lifetime or Good Life who are out of shape, who are getting paid $2,000 for 10 sessions. So that's $200 a session, and they don't even know what they're talking about. You know what I mean? So it's like, and no disrespect. I'm just saying, 100%. Like, they're like, if they can do that, people are paying it. So imagine if you actually look the part, right? You will get paid that, right? But that's where it comes into play. Where that's why you being a client and a coach, you know, it's about more than just that, right? Because these guys will end up monetizing more because they know how to do it. They know how to pitch themselves. They know their value. They know their worth, right? Once you get to that position, you should be able to, you know, get paid for. Because what do we do? We compete. We spend thousands of dollars to compete for what? For a gold medal, and then that's it. And that's go home with my gold medal and a trophy, and they give you a tub of protein powder for your first. Like, what am I gonna do with that? You know what I mean?
Do it again.
We do it again. Like, you know what I mean? Now, if we become a pro, it's a bit different. You know, we get paid for these events, but you know, Canada's tricky. We have I think 2 pro qualifiers. We have one in Vancouver and one in Toronto. So it gives Canadians 2 chances to become a pro, and there's only there could be, 8 classes of men's physique and only one of them comes out a winner, right? So that could be 120 people, only one becomes a pro.
Wow.
So
chances.
So what are the chances that you're going to get that? I'm not saying it's far-fetched to win, but we do it because we also want to stay in that industry.
Yeah.
So, my client just recently got a first place, right?
Wow.
And but he didn't win his pro card, right? Because but he got first place in his class, but he didn't win the overall.
Okay.
Right? So he wins he gets his gold medal, he's all good. But what do we do now?
Yeah, what's next?
He didn't become a pro, so how do we monetize off of your win? How do we become how do we build ourselves
around it
as a person? Now we have to do something, because or else we're going to spend another 6 months competing for what, right? We're going to spend another X amount of money competing and we're not getting anything, at least right now, we're not getting any money out of it, right? And that's kind of the problem with competing is we spend all this money for a chance to potentially become a pro, and then getting that pro card could obviously open a ton of doors, but it's not going to be right away. I have clients who are 22 years old. Like, they will be a pro at 25, 26, but what do we do for the next 3 years? Just keep spending money? And these guys want to build a career. So that's why we say, okay, we got our gold medal. What do we do now? We got to, first of all, we're going to take a little bit of a break, but now we need to monetize yourself. You need to make this gold medal make you money. Right? Or else what's it for? Right? Like, people have sports cars, people have Lamborghinis. What do? They rent it out. They let the people use it in music videos, whatever, because they got to make. They have the product. They got to make money off of it. What's the point, right? What's the point? We have this special product. We have people make supplements. People make things. They put them on the shelves. But if you don't put it on the shelf, how are you going to sell it? You know what I mean?
No one will know.
Right, exactly. And it comes with everything. Like, we have like a new food product can come out, a new protein bar, a new chocolate bar can come out. What do? They market it. They put it on every shelf. They make sure it's in people's faces all the time, right? And they have to sell it, right? And so that's what they have to do, right? And so they need to know how.
Exactly.
They need someone to kind of put them through that process, and that's what comes along with that. That's why a mentor is so important, because that it's someone a little bit older than you that's in the same craft as you. With the experience that can kind of cut a few corners. Before I had any coaches, I got my coach when I was 21, maybe. Okay. So everything, but I got in the fitness industry when I was 19. Man, I was a mess. Damn. Like, I didn't have any clue what I was doing. I was just doing random shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do I do with this? You know what I mean? I did my first show ever by myself with no coach. Wow. Man, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't look the best, but I looked pretty good. But I had no clue what I was doing. What do I do next with this? You know what I mean? What do I do after? You kind of feel like you're like what? Just there. You're just there. What happens next? So that's and then when I had a mentor, that allowed me to kind of go through those ropes and then start to learn, like, we do these things, but then there are other things that follow along, and that's what kind of allows you to grow in that industry, right? Because what do we do it for? Like, we all have regular jobs, right? My athletes, they don't just do that and go to sleep. You know what I mean? They work construction, they work at a bar, they work at restaurants, whatever. That's what they do to make money, to afford what they're doing, what they want to do. But realistically, they want to get into this industry and make money doing it. And so that's why you need someone to allow you to, or to give you some guidance, right? You need to, right? And for me, that's how I made most of my money. I can, I didn't really come from much, you know what I mean? I grew up in the Jane and Finch area, you know what I mean? I grew up in the Jane and Finch area, and my growing up was tough. It was, I had everything I needed, but not everything I wanted, right? And so now, and that was kind of my drive to push to get things that I can have anything I wanted. Now I don't. You don't really think about it. I don't think about anything. I want to buy a nice car. Just buy a nice car. You don't have to. But I wanted that, right? And so that was your vision. That was the vision, right? And so you have to. There are stepping stones. You have to go through people. You have to go through things. People. Everyone helps each other. You know what I mean? Like you were saying earlier. Exactly. Like I was saying earlier. Like I said, the rich and ripped guys. I admire their. How hard they want to work, how they're at every show, and how they're really pushing their brand on people. And like I said, the more you put it in people's faces, you can't ignore it. No. Eventually, they're like, it becomes. It's like It's like Nike. Like you ever watch that documentary with Air Jordan?
Did you watch the new one?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So
yeah.
you know, we look at that and we look at like how long ago that was and how Nike is such a
wow.
Nike is
face
everywhere.
now.
Is in our face, and we can't ignore it, right? But we look at that Jordan era, and like we look at Air Jordan, and we're like, Air Jordans were $29 back in the day. Now they're like $265 plus tax. How do you think they did that?
With 400
yes,
models.
it's Nike, right? But
it
listen,
wasn't like that.
It wasn't like that, right? It wasn't like that. The fact that Jordan was going to choose Puma, or what was it? Adidas. Over Nike.
Converse,
This day and age, any athlete's choosing Nike. Right? Because they have more reputation, they have more money, they have more marketing, they can give you anything you want now, today. But back in that day, the fact that he was on the scale of not knowing where to go.
The limbo.
Exactly. Was because Nike wasn't shit. You know what I mean? It wasn't anything special. They had to build themselves to be special. So why can't this company do the same?
Exactly.
Why? Because they're just starting out. Nike just started out. Nike started out. What did they start in a basement? The garage operation, and then they slowly built their way up. So that's kind of what I say. It all comes back to if you push yourself in people's faces, you can't ignore it. You know what I mean? So every company, even you guys, you guys, if you keep doing what you're doing and you keep putting yourself in people's faces and you keep getting guests coming in and you keep getting people to talk and you build a following, people can't ignore it because people are interested. They want to hear what that person has to say. Oh, they had a celebrity on. I want to hear what that person has to say. Like there are so many. Like why Joe Rogan's podcast? Why is it special? Joe Rogan's nothing special.
No.
He's not special. He talks a lot of shit. He's a funny guy. But he's nothing special.
No.
You know what I mean? He used to do Fear Factor. And then he became a UFC commentator, and now he does podcasts, and it's so popular. Why? Because he kept doing it, right? And he brought on consistency. He brought guests on that would give an entertaining show. Feedback. and eventually every time an episode came out, people wanted to know, people wanted to listen, people wanted to be a part of it.
For sure.
So that's why it was the same with me. Like I go to shows, you know what I mean? I'm always around. You push yourself in people's faces, they can't ignore it. I can go to a gas station and people say, oh, that's, I told you, I'll do shoots. I do photo shoots for Jed North. I do photo shoots for fitness companies.
Wow.
And I did a photo shoot for Dark Sport, which is a big U.S. company in Florida. And I walk around and people be like, I remember your face from somewhere. Where's it from? And I'm like, I don't know. Which one? And like, did you do a clothing company somewhere? I'm like, yeah. Which one? You know what I mean? So. Like, and they try and think about it, and I'll say the name of the company. They're like, yeah, that was the one. It. So you see, it's like your face ends up being everywhere, and I can walk into a gym, or I can walk. I could be at a gas station, and someone will drive by and be like, I saw your video of this. I saw a TikTok of you here. Right. And so the more you're in people's faces, the more people can't ignore. So
the exposure.
So going back to Nike, like. Jordan, made Nike a shit ton of money. But because of who he was. So all it took was to sign one of the best athletes in the world, right, to their company, and look what happened.
Blew him up.
So all Richard Ripp needed to do is put that shirt on a really fucking,
Michael Jordan.
maybe the Michael Jordan of the fitness industry.
Exactly.
Put it on someone like that, and that's going to open so many doors because then people are saying like he has a following. People have followings. I have a following. I do this, or I put their shirts on, and I get people wanting to buy their products. So, and I'm small, obviously small time compared to one of the best athletes in the world.
100%.
But point is you get that in people's faces and people want to follow. You get a good guest on the show where people want to hear what that person has to say. People want to listen, and then guess what? You just got 100,000 new listeners, and they're not just listening for that guy because they just said, okay, well that was interesting.
What's next?
What's next? Right? What's next? And
so
people are watching, people are always listening, and all it takes is that big break to open yourself up and allow yourself to be exposed like that, right?
For sure.
And it always ends up working out in the end, right? I always say that people always quit too early. That's the problem is people have a great idea, you know what I mean, and they're passionate about it, and then they see it's not successful in the first few months or first year. Their passion starts to fade, and then what happens is they give up, and guess what?
The little bit more.
If they just went a little bit more, they would have. Who knows what would have happened, right? You ever see that meme kind of thing where it's the guy digging?
Yes.
Right, and he turns back just before he hits the goal.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just a thing of like, if this is something you're passionate about, this is something you want to do.
Yeah.
You got to keep doing it because, bro, at the end of the day, you if you keep doing something, it's gonna pay out. You can't ignore it, man.
Yeah.
If one day everybody's gonna be wearing those shirts, or one day everybody's gonna want to be listening to this podcast, or whatever it is, and you can't, when you can't ignore it anymore, people just accept it. Like Nike.
Yeah.
Nike's now. That's it.
Yeah.
It is and it will forever be it.
It is.
It will forever be.
Yeah. That's not changing.
And it's never going to change.
Yeah.
Right? No matter what they bring out, no matter what products they bring out, they've established themselves as that high tier, and they're going to stay there. Mm-hmm. Right? And it comes with all these fitness companies. There's a lot of Canadian fitness companies I shoot for, the clothing companies.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if you've heard of Jed North.
Yes.
But, Canadian-based company.
Yeah.
Right? And they started from the bottom.
Yeah.
And they had guys that were doing photo shoots for them for free.
Wow.
You know what I mean? They got a couple guys, a couple of their friends, good shape, decent shape.
Yeah.
Doing photo shoots in their clothes, and their clothes were kind of shit in the beginning. I'm not gonna lie, I'm sponsored by them, but But I'll be honest, but guess
Being
what?
honest about it, yeah.
Over time, their products got better. Over time, they brought in people who had more of an influence, and now they have 1 million followers on Instagram. Everybody I see in the gym is wearing Jed North. You know what I mean? And so that, right? So and me being a part of that again also helps me, because then it kind of brings us back to the spectrum of why we do these things. Right? We do these things because as long as you're in people's faces, when they go on that website and they're shopping for clothes and they see my face and then they see me in person, they'll say, "Hey, aren't you that guy? I know that guy." Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And even though that doesn't give you any money in your pocket, right? It's not always about financially monetizing right off the bat for everything. Sometimes it's about the exposure. Sometimes it's about building. Sometimes it's about building, building your reputation, building your brand, right? And that's ultimately what I kind of, Sorry, I had to stop. What did I say?
What did I say? We can cut. It's fine.
Call me when you're done. He's here. I made an espresso.
Yeah, do your thing.
You can cut that. You can cut that.
Yeah, take your time.
I couldn't read that from that far away. I was like, what the fuck? What's that? All right,
all
we're
good. It's going really good.
36 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no worries.
Right. What's he said? He's 36 minutes.
36 minutes.
That's how long we've been going.
Yeah.
Wow, it doesn't even feel like that.
I know, right? It never does.
Let me get a water break.
Speaking really well, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, time flies always. You never feel. That's why he does. It's not because stop. It's like fuck. How long we've been going for?
You could honestly. I can see why that girl was chatting your up. You can talk.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You kind of get the ball rolling with an idea, right?
But it's a good conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Where were we at before?
You were just talking about Jed North.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So. Like I said, it's about building your reputation, building yourself as a brand, because we can work for other companies. Like I can do a photo shoot for Dark Sport, I can do videos for clothing companies. They're the ones that are getting what they want out of it, right? Because they're using me as a selling point to sell their clothes.
Exactly.
And what do I get out of that, right?
Yeah.
I'm getting the exposure. Sure, they pay you. Maybe they pay you a couple $100, whatever.
Okay, great.
Okay, great. I wipe my ass with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, who cares? You know what I mean? But what's most important is when that gets posted, you get that exposure.
Exactly.
Right? And with that exposure allows you to obviously build that brand. And like I said, Jed North started off shit. They had shit clothes. You know what I mean? They had random guys taking pictures, and it slowly started to progress into something so big. And now look at them. Now they're... I'm proud to be working with them. You know what I mean? They send me clothes every month, and you know what I mean. I help them out, and they help me out in return. Right, doing photo shoots with them, doing videos with them, allows me to build my exposure, and you get kind of free clothes. You know what I mean, on the back.
Why
so it's like, why not? I used to buy their clothes before they sponsored me, anyways. Yeah, so before I had a sponsorship with them, I was buying clothes for them. My brother was buying clothes for them. My girl was buying clothes for them. And then one day you get a message from them like, hey, and we like your look. How would you like to be a part of us? You know what I mean? We have a photo shoot here. Come in for that. We'll give you these clothes every month. We'll give you like So you get $500 in free clothes every month, which is cool because I was buying it anyways, right?
Yeah.
So it's not really about the money there. What am I doing it for? It's for that exposure.
Hey, why
right?
not?
And then eventually that exposure will lead to something financially.
For sure.
Right?
In the long run, yeah.
Someone will see you and then they'll say, hey man, do you offer this? Or hey man, do you have coaching? Or hey man, can you get this? Can you do that for me? Whatever it is. And then eventually you'll make money off of that. So realistically, that's why these opportunities to do that, whether it's a small company in the beginning, right? They're not always going to be small companies, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure if Jordan decided to choose another brand,
Like
right?
Adidas or whatever.
Like Adidas or whatever, and it didn't blow up like it did now. Like I try and think about what an Air Jordan would look like for Adidas, and I'm like, nah. I wouldn't wear it. You know what I mean? I'm a big Jordan fan. I got 100 pairs of Jordans at home.
Yeah.
Right? But it's because the way Nike designed those shoes. So
the way they marketed it.
The way they marketed, the way they sold him as a person. Do you know, like, obviously you watched it, so you remember he would get fined.
Yes.
He would get fined because the shoe was white.
And they were going to pay the fine.
And they were like, we'll pay the fine because they wanted him to be different. So this company was willing to pay a fine, $5,000 fine every game just so he could be different. Right? Look at that commitment, right? And this was a small company at the time that they were like obviously it's not that much money, but it's a lot to commit to, right? Yeah. So you really have to believe in that athlete to be putting all of this a vision into that. So that's what I'm trying to say. That company had a vision. Every other small business has visions. The athletes I have, they all have visions in their head to be something special, something different, right? Yeah. But we always stop short. We're like, oh, well, what are the odds I'm going to get famous? What are the odds my brand's going to... The chances are slim if you give up now. But listen, man, it could take 2 years. It could take 3 years. It could take 5 years. It doesn't matter. If you keep going...
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Because it happened with me, man. Like I said, I didn't come from much. It came from nothing, actually. You know what I mean? I came from not being able to afford a car to driving a GTR. So how does that... You know what I mean? So it's because I kept doing something. I kept...
Consistency, man.
I kept doing it in my head. I thought... If I stopped after my first show, where would I be now? Doing nutrition in some weird clinic. You know what I mean? What would I be doing? Personal training at Good Life, maybe. You know what I mean? So to be able, it's crazy when we look back at that journey, but that's where I kind of, say that you giving up just before, you get to that point, you'll never know. That's why if it's something you're passionate about, and something you really like to do and you don't want to live without, you should commit to it 100%, right? Because there's no way people can ignore you
100%.
If you keep exposing yourself, you keep putting yourself in people's faces. There's no way someone can say, all right, well, that company's in my face too much. I'm just going to ignore it. You can't, man, because guess what? It's, I know the guy, for example, have you heard of Mammoth Mug?
Mammoth, yes. Yes.
The big jugs and the fin. Everybody in the gym's got them. So that's a good friend of mine.
No way.
He's a good friend of mine. And he told me when he came up with the idea, it was because he would try and put protein powder in like a water bottle, for example. And obviously those big protein scoops were too big, so it would go everywhere. So he's like, I'll make a bigger lid so that I can put my powders in there.
Simple solution.
And we always go to the water fountain because with this 500 ml bottle, I'll drink this in 2 seconds. Especially during a workout. So he says, I'm gonna make a 1.5 liter jug or 2 liter jug, whatever it is, so you don't have to keep going back and forth. You can carry this jug around. You got 2 liters of water, or even throughout your day. People bring it to work. People sip on it at work. People, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And they can, and so he created that idea. And you know what I mean? Not thinking much, but he put that on people's shelves. He put it in people's faces, and now look, everybody has one. Right, and that's a local guy. He's from Kitchener, and you know what I mean?
Way.
Yeah. So he was able to create that brand. But, But listen, man, he did it more for himself. But all of a sudden, it became something. But it didn't become something overnight.
No.
But if he now it's in Sport Check. You go to Sport Check and buy that. He has a brand partnership with NBA now.
Wow.
So a guy from Kitchener just decided one day
because the lid wasn't big enough.
I need a bigger lid. So he created this prototype for himself, and he thought, you know what, this is good. There's nothing else on the market right now like this.
Wow.
So he decided, let me see how this goes, and he pushed it, and he pushed it, and he pushed it, and now we look a few years later. It's on. Go to any supplement store, they have them there. Go to a Sport Check, they have them there. He has a partnership with the NBA. It's become
what a vision,
right? But you see, like, who knows if he stopped, if he was like, you know what, people are people are saying this jug's too heavy, it's 2 liters, it's a lot of water. You know what I mean? If you took that one bad criticism and said, you know what, well, I tried, and then gave up on it, he wouldn't be where he is today.
Exactly.
Right? It's the same thing with me. It's the same thing with a lot of companies that start off small. Like you got to grow, man. You got to expose yourself to people. You have to be able to, put yourself in people's faces. You got to work with people. Everybody is a stepping stone. Like I said, everybody can help you in some way or another, right? Whether you're paying someone for some, either. Right? You don't even know, right? Like you can meet somebody. I'll tell you something. People can ask me. My parents will always ask me, "Do you know a carpenter? Do you know someone to do landscaping? Do you know a jeweler? Do you know a family doctor?" And I can say, "Yeah, I do," because someone I meet in my lifetime has told me I'm a doctor, I'm a landscaper.
I know this guy.
I know this guy. I know this guy. So I have this arsenal of people that in case I need someone for something, I have it.
You know where to go,
right? And so, that's because everybody is. That's what I'm saying. Being social and exposing yourself and telling people who you are and what you do, eventually that's going to come up. Like 100%. I think about it like, oh, I need to buy a ring. All right, well, oh shit, I know that jeweler that I met at the gym. Perfect. Let me call him. He'll design me a ring. And because we're on that kind of friend basis, he's going to give me better pricing. He's going to take care of me because I'm not just a stranger walking in.
No, you made that connection already.
My nonna needs to get her landscaping done in the backyard. I have one of my good friends is a landscaper. I'm going to call that guy. He's going to end up doing it for cost. He's going to make sure it's done well because it's a family member. He's a good friend of mine. So you see, no matter who you meet in life or whatever it is, everybody's going to help you in some way or another. So that's why everything is a stepping stone at the end of the day. I don't like to say it's like using people. No. We use each other. Right? Like I have a good...
There's nothing wrong with
it. There's nothing wrong with it. Like I have a guy who I'm training, like I mentioned earlier. His family owns Cabana, they own the Bisha, they own Rebel, they own a bunch of restaurants downtown, and I put a lot of time and commitment into helping him, right? He's getting ready for his birthday on July 9th, right? And so he calls me all the time, I'm always on it with him. So he's using me for that, and then, listen, I got a last minute reservation, I want to go out with my girlfriend or a couple guys out for dinner. Guess who I call? I call him and he sets me up a reservation, no problem. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, we are using each other, but it's not like I'm taking from him and I'm not giving anything back. I'm taking and I'm receiving and he's receiving and vice versa. And so that's why, like I said, exposure is so important because no matter what, even if you're not looking to be famous, it doesn't matter. Right? It's exposure in whatever business you have. If you're a jeweler, you got to tell people you're a jeweler. How else does anybody know you're a jeweler? You can't keep it to yourself. It's a secret. No one can know what I do for work.
It's hidden.
It's hidden. Like you're not Batman, bro. Like you can tell people what you do. Right? You tell people like I run a podcast. Someone might say, well, you know what? I got a good friend who's in the music industry, who's in the film industry. I'll get him on your podcast. If you never told that guy you did that, then you would have never opened that opportunity for yourself.
100%.
And so that's why it's so important
100%.
to tell people what you are, let people know who you are,
100%.
and get yourself out there. If you want to be something,
how would you know?
Tell people what you're doing, man. You know what I mean? Because there's always somebody for something, right? And that's kind of, it's great because this city, you know what I mean? We have a lot of people involved and we all have things we need from people, so there's nothing wrong with using people as a ladder to get kind of higher to get what you need, because regardless, we have a guy who like I said, a jeweler or something, he's still getting paid for his job, but you're working with a friend, and with working with a friend you're going to get better service, right? And you're going to make sure you're taken care of. Same thing when we talk about coaching. When you work with a coach who's also your friend, you're gonna get a better experience. 100%. The guy's gonna take more care of you. He's gonna trust you. Trust more, and you're gonna look over just the coaching aspect, right? You're gonna look at him more than that. He's gonna look at you more than a coach.
Wow.
Right? I have guys who don't listen to anybody, but they listen to me. We'll go out and party, and a guy's acting up. The brother says to his brother, like, "Stop, man! You look embarrassing yourself, whatever." They don't listen. I go over there and I said, "Go talk to him." He listens because it's more than just you know what I mean. It's more than
There's
just
that respect there.
It's a respect thing, right? People look so. Setting yourself, and that's with everything. That's why I'm 100%. Saying, allowing people to know what you do and setting yourself up and making sure everyone's friends. That's like, I know some of the shittiest tattoo shops, but guess what? They're fucking. They expose themselves well, and they get a lot of business. And you know, some of the best tattoo shops don't have that business. So I know one of my good friends, you know, he lives in Spain now, but he was here and he did most of my tattoos.
Yeah.
And he's a great artist, but he doesn't get any exposure
because he's just
he's not exposing himself the right way.
Yeah.
Right. That guy could be making $3,000 a tattoo, but most of his work came from me. You know what I mean? All this work is from him, and all my legs and stuff like that is from him. My neck is from him. But he never exposed himself the right way, because if he did, right, you got to tell people I'm a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How are we gonna know?
Yeah.
He looks like a gangster. You know what I mean? He's got tattoos on his face.
Jeez.
People don't know he's a tattoo artist. He's either a tattoo artist or a criminal. You know what I mean? Like, how do we decide who this guy? You got to tell people.
Yeah.
So exposing yourself in that way, you know, Instagram marketing and all these advertising is its own thing.
For sure.
You know, this city, you know, you can go to a club, you can go to a bar, you can go to a restaurant. Yeah. Someone sees you. You know what I mean? You tell your people who you are. And there's your business. Like, I've gone to restaurants and, oh, dude, you're huge, bro. What do you do? You think I'm gonna lie to him? I work construction. No, I'm gonna tell him what I do.
Yeah.
Tell him what I'm gonna do for work, because I want him to pay me for something at least. You know what I mean? So we can't hide behind. You know, like I said, we're not. What we do for work isn't a secret. You know what I mean? And if you want to build your brand, and like I said, it's not always about being famous. It's about building your business in general, right? You want to be something, you got to tell people who you are. And you have to be open to talking to people, or else nobody knows. You know, my girl's a medical esthetician. She's gonna hide it? No, because she, you know what I mean? The more she tells people she is that, the more people are going to come to her. Right? And so that's the whole point. People need to, you know, let people know who you are, and allow themselves to create a circle where, you know, I'm the go-to. Someone needs a coach, I'm the go-to. Someone needs...
build that network.
The network, right? Someone needs a landscaper, he's your go-to. He's your go-to, right? So if you create yourself as that, you know, you're getting that word of mouth around the city without doing the marketing. And then when you add the marketing, you add the ads, then, you know what I mean, you built yourself something crazy. But like I said, you can be the greatest tattoo artist in the world, but if no one knows you're a tattoo artist, how are you going to monetize off of it?
100%.
You know what I mean? He came to this city for 1 year, and 90% of the money he made was from me.
Wow.
You know what I mean? He did my hands, you know what I mean? He did all my work.
Wow.
And because he just never exposed himself, there was a little bit of laziness involved.
For sure.
Still a great friend of mine, but you know, laziness involved. He wasn't as open to, you know, selling himself
with more people.
And that kind of is the end result of, you know, just not thinking about that, because we overlook it. I think we think that everything has to be sold to our faces on Instagram or on social media.
That's to be perfect.
That's the only way that we can expose ourselves. But what about life? You know what I mean? Unless you live in your bedroom and that you don't come out, fine. Instagram is your way to go. But if you're out and you're about and you're at the gym, like, you know, the gym for me is a place to monetize. At the end of the day, I go to work out, but I also go there because, you know, I'm a walking billboard of what I do. Someone's gonna come to me and say, you know, a guy who has no idea what to do is gonna come to me and say, hey man, you look good. How do I look like that? How'd you get there? How'd you get there? Come here, bro. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I did. Sit down. You know what I mean? And that guy's gonna end up paying me for something. You know what I mean? Whether it's for the coaching, whether it's for something, doesn't matter. Right? But you know what I mean? You're that walking billboard when it's a certain kind of concept, like in my sense. But I go to that gym, I need to be social. And people look at me, oh, that guy looks like a dick, you know, because you know what I mean? Angry kind of look initially when someone sees me, and then they start talking about, oh, this guy's cool. So he's cool and he looks good and I can, you know, it's what I want to be, and he's chill like that. Like, this is perfect. You know what I mean? I want to work with this guy.
Yeah, why not?
Right? Instead of the guy that's like ignoring you and whatever. That's the guy you want to coach you. You know what I mean? He only talks to you when you're paying him for shit. Like, you know what I mean? So that's kind of what I think is the most important thing, and is the takeaway from everything, is that, you know, it's important to get a mentor to guide you through whatever it is. You need to get a mentor in your craft, right? Someone a little bit older, not too older, because then we're living in a different era. Like when I got my coach and he was older, was different. We lived in a time where there wasn't cancel culture, and there wasn't these things that were, you know, you couldn't say certain things or else you get in trouble for it. So it was a bit different. But now we live in that time where we got to be a little bit careful. So I'd get a mentor who's a little bit older than me, right? If per se. and I'll have that person be your goal, your inspiration, someone you kind of look up to, someone and someone that is, and these people are open to doing this. Like I have my clients, but I also have my friends. Right? And my clients are my friends sometimes.
Yeah.
And you got to be open to, helping them out. And most people are. Like, people will call me all the time. They need girl advice. They need work advice, business advice. I'm here to help. You know what I mean? And most people are. Most people are here to help. You just have to ask.
Yeah.
Right? And then you build this friendship and a bond with this person who is your inspiration. And then that person helps guide you, through his path and helps you avoid the mistakes that he made.
Exactly.
So, like I said, before I had coaches, or even when I did have a coach, I wasn't even listening to him. I was so stupid.
You're in your own
he's telling
vision.
me to eat this. I was like, nah. I'm gonna do half of what he says and then half of what I want to do. And I was like, nah, this ain't working.
Yeah.
But like, I was stupid like that, right? And so it really is about like having that person avoid the mistakes that he already made.
Yeah.
So now all those mistakes of me not listening to my coach and doing the half-assed work, I can now tell this guy, listen,
so they don't.
I know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
I know you want to not listen to me, right? Because you think what you're doing is working.
Yeah.
But trust me, I did that. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
Do this. And you know what that guy's going to say? Oh, you know what? Sure, let me listen.
Right.
And then when it works, then there's your trust, and he can he opens his arms and allows you to be that motivation, that inspiration, and that guide for him, right? And so he can avoid 3 years of mistakes, all from somebody who's gone through those mistakes to help him from making those mistakes again.
Exactly.
So that's so important. I think that's a big takeaway. I tell people to find someone like that, you just got to look.
Yeah.
Right? If it's the fitness industry, go to the biggest guy in the gym that you've been looking at and say to your bro, like, oh, that guy's huge, man. I wish I looked like that. Go talk to that guy, man.
Yeah. Don't be afraid.
You could pay that guy for 10 sessions of training and then you guys become buddies. You'll never pay that guy again.
Yeah.
That's what happened with me and my coach. I paid my coach $1,000 and we became friends since that till today.
Wow.
And I never paid him after that first $1,000 because we became friends, right? Yeah. And he decided there was potential in me, and he decided to spend his time and spend his resources in trying to build me. Yeah. And it worked because I got my business aspect from him. I got all my knowledge from him.
Wow.
I was able to be successful from him.
Wow.
So that worked. So there's no reason why no one else can do that, right?
Why not?
Like I said, you can pay somebody one time and then you become friends, and you're never going to pay that guy again. He's going to consider you a friend. Yeah. And then it becomes more than just fitness. It becomes a lifestyle thing. This guy becomes almost like your dad. Yeah. Right? Or like your bigger brother. Yeah. More so, right? And you look up to your bigger brother, the brother that knows everything, the brother that already been through those mistakes.
For the advice.
Right? For that advice, right? So that's a big takeaway. The other thing, like I said, is exposure is so important. Sell yourself as best as possible. Yeah. There isn't anything you can't do, right? Never say no to anything, right? Like I said, you never know. You work with a clothing company that's so small, you never know. Yeah. That guy, you never know what that guy has in his arsenal. You never know what he'll have a year or two from now. You'll never know how successful he'll be. So take the job. Do that, and if it doesn't pay out right away, cool. You got exposure from it. People who never saw you before saw you. Yeah. Right? Doing this today, people who have never seen me before will now see me. Yeah. And so that is special because now you've opened up that door. Yeah. And bro, like anybody can see it, and you know what I mean? Who knows how it goes? So never say no, you know what I mean? The exposure is really important. Be open, tell everybody, what it is that you do, what is it that your goals are, because chances are there's someone you're seeing every day at the gym or at the grocery store that could help you in your life, but you don't even know because you didn't say anything to that guy. You kind of look at him and you want to talk to the guy, but he looks like he's not approachable. He looks tight. Like, I don't know. Like, is this the right timing? Yeah. It's like going to a girl. Like, bro, you see a girl that could be the love of your life at the bar right there. Yeah. But you're like nervous to say hello, bro. What's the worst thing that's gonna happen? She say no. Yeah. All right, I'll never see this girl again in my life. Best case scenario, that becomes your fucking wife. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like
you never know.
You never know. So it's obviously a little bit harder with a woman, for sure. But you know what I mean. But point is like you got to take those shots, right? You miss all the shots you don't take. You're right. So take those chances, because chances are they can help you in one way or another. Whether it's someone that can help you in your life or someone, man. I need electrician help. At least I know 5 electricians.
Yeah.
If not, I got to go on Kijiji and look up an electrician who's
Facebook.
likely going to fucking rob me.
Yeah.
He's likely going to scam me, right?
gonna stiff you.
Overcharge me and make sure that I, I get. He extends this work so that I end up paying double the money when I could have had my boy who I met at the gym, who I decided to speak to, do that job for a quarter of the price.
Yeah.
Because he's a friend. He considers me a friend.
Yeah.
We're close. And then
gonna
guess
help you
what?
out.
He wants personal training. All right, you know what, man? You did me a favor. Come train with me. I'll show you a few things. See how we used each other.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's why it's important to let people know what you do, what your goals are. Find out what they do, what their goals are, because then you put that in your arsenal, and one day if you need it, you can pull that out, that out of your backpack, and say, yeah, this is what I need. Thank God I know a guy like this, right?
Exactly.
So that exposure is important. Don't say no to anything, and stay committed, man. Because bro, at the end of the day, I can't tell you because I can tell you this because I lived it.
Yeah.
Bro, when I tell you I came from nothing, I mean nothing. Like you know what I mean? My family did everything they could for me, but bro, it's not everybody's as lucky. Nobody not everybody gets grown up in a rich family. They're stable now, they're good now. But I wanted more.
Yeah.
Right? I wanted as a kid I always wanted that GTR was my dream car.
Yeah.
I had tears when I picked up that car because I was I couldn't believe that I picked up the car that I used to dream of as a kid. So sometimes that reality hits, and that's why I can tell you, like, yo, you stay committed to something long enough, people can't ignore it. You will make money off of it.
100%.
People always ask me, like, how can you do that? How do you live this lifestyle like that? Because I committed to it. Like, but really, you make all that money from that business, and like, how? Like, you know what I mean? And I do, man. I do because you when you can monetize it correctly, you can work 12 hours at a construction site. That's what you want to do. No, listen, I don't care. You know what I mean? Some people like to do that. That's what they do. They prefer 9 to 5.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And instead of like building. And it is what it is. Not everybody's born to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone's born to have their own businesses. There are I think God created people for certain reasons in life, right?
For sure.
I kind of base this whole conversation around that because it is important. Like anybody that says it's not about money or being successful is a liar, because at the end of the day, we live in this city.
Yeah.
You need to be successcul. You need to make money. Especially in this city, everything's high. We think $800,000 for a stacked townhouse is a steal. Yeah. Right? Like, that's insane.
It's
Go
crazy.
to Texas, you get a
oh my god,
10-acre home for $300,000, and we think $800K for a stacked town. In a crowded area is a deal. Like, it's not, right? Yeah. So we need here, more important than ever, we need to be diligent with caring about finances and caring about being successful, because that's a selling point.
It's the foundation.
It's the foundation, man. Yeah. It's we need to do that, and it pays out in the end, man. Take 100%. It from someone who came from nothing, who watched, who it's crazy to look back at, but and you don't really see it during the process, but when you look back at the process, then you're like, wow, look how far I came. Yeah. Take it from someone who stayed committed, right? Who can live that more of a lifestyle. Like, bro, my girlfriend's expensive. You know what I mean? Like, I have to live this life. I have to keep up, because there's people are expensive in this world, right? I like expensive things. She likes expensive things.
Wrong with it. You just
Nothing wrong
keep
with
up
it,
with
but
it.
you have to work
around it.
You have to work around it. You have to work for it. I always tell people, like, instead of, maybe people don't agree with this, but instead of changing your finances to make things fit, make more money. Yeah. To afford those things you like. Like, instead of cutting corners and say, oh, well, I can't get my nails done or my hair is done because so-and-so, work harder. Yeah. Right? Because again, when we say, well, we have to cut corners, we have financially this, right? We're telling ourselves we can't do it. Yeah. We can't do it. Right? So I need to cut expenses. I need to sell my car because it's too much on gas and I can't afford the payments. No, man. Take that as a push to go and get that car payment done. You know what I mean? Because we live in this city where we can make money doing anything. Do it, right? Instead of saying, no, I don't want to cut corners. I got to cut corners. I got to stop buying this. I got to stop going out and eat. No, man. Tell yourself, listen, I want to live this life. How can I keep doing that? Get a second job. Work harder. Talk to your friends. Someone's going to want to pay you for something, right? Instead of cutting corners, to afford to not be able to afford the lifestyle you like, try and make yourself afford that lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Like people always say, well, if you can't afford it, don't live within your means. But it's like, yeah, we live within our means, but we also like nice things here and there.
Why not?
So why can't we, instead of telling people live within your means, tell them, well, listen, you like these things, work harder for it. Work for it.
Yeah.
Right? That I think is a better thing to say and more motivation to me than anything else.
Yeah.
Someone telling me work harder to live the life that you want to live is better than someone saying, well, bro, if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. Like, nah, man. Like, you say, bro, if you can't afford that, work harder so you can afford it.
Yeah.
Right? Don't say, you know, I can't, so I can't. No, anybody can. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the point. You want designer clothes? That's cool.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you can't afford it at the time, but you really want those designer clothes, then you're going to do something to afford it. You don't just say, well, I can't, so I can't.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's a quitter. That's a loser's mindset.
Yeah.
A winner's mindset is, I can't afford this right now, but I want it. So what am I going to do
to get there?
it?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That is is better advice than someone saying, if you can't do it, then don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah. That's just quitting.
That's just quitting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, no, like, and I don't get why people say that. Like, if I was complaining I couldn't afford something, I want someone to come and slap me in the face and say, bro, you can't afford that. You want that? Is that what you want? You want the pair of shoes? Well, fucking work.
Yeah.
Make that money.
Yeah.
You want that, right? Yeah, I want it. Well, fucking work for it.
Exactly.
You know what? Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you just say?
What'd you just say? You mean I don't just have to give up on it? You mean I just don't walk away from that?
Yeah.
Work harder for it. Right? That is better than saying I can't.
Don't do it at all.
Yeah. So you know that's
100%.
That's what I've lived by.
Yeah.
And you know when you live that mind and you live that mindset, you apply it to your life, and you don't allow yourself to be a quitter and be a loser, right? And you will eventually get everything that you want.
100%.
You will eventually get whatever you want, and if you have that mindset.
Yeah.
Because you'll just figure it out, bro.
Yeah.
Like I've seen people in some really dark situations in their lives. They get themselves out of it.
Yeah.
Because you have to.
They got that mindset.
You have that mindset.
Nothing
you can
else
stay in the gutter. You know, homeless people, I feel bad for them, but depending on their circumstances,
you're
you're there.
Different.
You're there, right? Like if you wanted to, you could get yourself out of it.
Yeah.
But you don't because they don't have the drive anymore. Or they've given up.
Yeah.
But for guys, for regular people, like we should be able to do that. We should be able to say, you know what?
Why not?
Let me get myself out of this. Let me get what I want. And that ideally is, you know what I mean? The advice I would tell somebody is like, don't give up on that. You know what I mean? If you can't afford that right now, if that's not where you're at right now, make sure you can get to that. Instead of saying, that's it. It's crazy. Yeah, that's it. Like what kind of mindset is that, man? Like people who give that advice are stupid, bro. Like don't listen to that person. Ask that person what he has. Yeah. And ask that person when he was your age what he was doing to get his shit. Yeah. Because chances are he wasn't quitting on it. He was saying, all right, I want that gold chain, so I'm going to work for it. I want that Gucci shirt, so I'm going to work for it. Yeah. I want that nice car. I want to lease this brand new Audi R8. Find a way to make those payments. If that's what you want, find a way to make those payments. Don't just give up because that's again that mindset is what a lot of it's like turning back around. Like I said right before getting to the goal, it's the same idea. If you give up on your business before it even gets there, then what's the point? If you just say I can't afford this, so I'm just gonna give up, or maybe in 10 years I can afford it. Nah, man, you want that now? Do it now. Work, man. Work. You can. This city, you can do it. Yeah, I agree. This city, potential. This city, there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of ways to make money, legally, of course. There's a lot of ways to make money. So it's, the doors are open, man. Right. So no matter what it is, I always preach, work for what you want, man. Keep 100%. Yourself in people's faces. 100%. Find people who can guide you correctly. Find people you look up to. Right, and listen to their advice because it can get you a lot further and help you to avoid the mistakes that you're going to make along the way because you took that advice. Right? So that is the most important thing, and thankfully, my life turned out to be on that path and that journey. Now I'm at that point and I can help people in the same way. Yeah. So, but taking from someone that went through it, that it's like that is the way to live life if you really push yourself, you have that mindset to that point, you go right? For it. Yeah, so that's
awesome. That was awesome, man.
That's me. That's
That was amazing.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I think he's one of the best speaking person I've ever had on this podcast. Straight
I
up.
appreciate it.
Straight
Thank you.
up.
Yeah, man, you got me started. You got me riled up. With
Well,
these.
yeah, when you could tell you're passionate about it. When
Yeah.
you're
Well,
really
absolutely, man.
You know how to speak well about it.
Yeah, well, like I said, when you live through that experience, you can talk about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I had no idea on how to talk about it, I would know. You know what I mean? But it's something you live
clear.
through, right? It's something
It's
you
clear.
live through, and yeah. So that's what I preach. It's what I practice, and I hope people do the same, man.
Love it.
Doors are open here for everyone.
Everyone's listening.
That's all.
Thank you, man.
so much. Thanks for having me
was
on, man. Appreciate it, man.
Say that life's about balance, baby, and the balance is in my account now. Okay, she got a perkin' and perk. I got a twerking and turk. She probably let both of us hit. The way that she smirking at dirt. She getting cake on the picture she take. I say, girl, if it worked, it worked.
The Lifestyle Balance Podcast.